for the arrival of His Royal Highness a bit more while we await his arrival, and the remainder of our guests will also come in and try to fill in the sides. We thank you sincerely for your cooperation, ladies and gentlemen. So again, to our students, please feel free to come up and take up the center. He really would like to speak to you as well with regards to his presentation this morning. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, there's a second part to our program, which will be at the Oceania Center at OCAP. So at the end of our formalities here, we will invite, of course, the official party to lead the way, and His Royal Highness would like to take a walker, through the campus over to OCAP. So you're more than welcome to join him as well. Let's take a quick stroll across. We will enjoy a cultural performance and then some refreshments before we depart for the day. From OCAPS, he will then travel across to the sailing center to board the Utunialo. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, we thank you sincerely. We ask if we could just try and fill up the seats around the middle. Please, to our students who've come in, we ask that if you can just try to move to the seats around the middle, if we can try to fill that up as much as possible, we sincerely appreciate it. And I'm sure you're also aware from the program that's been handed out that there will be a Q&A session at the end of his presentation. There's a question and answer session at the end of his presentation. We ask, ladies and gentlemen, that you ask questions. This is an opportune time for you to seek clarification. So if you do have a question to ask, raise your hand. We have our technicians who will be walking up and down the aisle, and they'll pass the microphone to you for your question. So again, thank you sincerely, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we thank you sincerely for being here. Just a few minutes to go over our housekeeping announcements and also our program. Our guest this morning, His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of Norway, will arrive. He's expected to arrive at 10 a.m. And he will be received by Fiji's Minister for Education, Arts and Heritage, the Honorable Rosie Akbar, our Acting Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Richard Call, and our Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research, Innovation and International Office, Professor Derek Armstrong. He'll then be escorted here, and I will ask you, as per government protocol, to please be upstanding to welcome His Royal Highness. He will be seated in the front with the Minister. He'll be garlanded. Following that, he will go and take his seat facing the screen for his presentation. We'll begin with the welcome address after the garlanding by the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, and then the address by His Royal Highness. At the end of his presentation, we'll open the floor for questions. Again, if you do have a question, please raise your hand. Our technicians will bring the microphone to you. And at the end of the question and answers, we'll then move the vote of thanks by the Acting Vice-Chancellor and President. Following that, we'll then exit to make our way across to the Oceania Center. Again, I invite you all to join us to watch the traditional performance or the cultural performance prepared by the artists at the Oceania Center. We thank you again for being here. We kindly request if you can switch your mobile phones to silent or vibrate mode at this time. Also, ladies and gentlemen, as per our OHS regulations, it's important that I announce as well that in case of an emergency, please take a quick look around the room. Behind you, the entrance is also our exit up at the top, here on the sides, and behind me at the wings. That's also an exit to my far right at the back. Please move out to the car park and we'll take instructions then from our OHS team here at the university. So we have a protocol that will be activated. We ask that we adhere to it as much as possible. Thank you sincerely for your cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you sincerely. I've just been advised that His Royal Highness has just arrived, and we'll just wait for the official party to make their way in to the theatre. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding to welcome His Royal Highness Crown Prince HAAKON. Hello. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I now invite the young ladies to come forward to gala now, our chief guest this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause. Can I ask the Honourable Minister, ma'am, if you can please escort His Royal Highness to our seats up in the front. Thank you very, very much. Your Royal Highness, the Crown Prince HAAKON of Norway, also present, the Norwegian Minister for International Development, Fiji's Minister for Education, Heritage and Arts, officials of the Norway's Royal Court, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Excellencies, senior officials of government, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for Norway and Fiji, invited guests, senior management of USB, staff and students, warm greetings to you all. Our program this morning will begin with a prayer, and I kindly invite the chaplain of USB, Dr. Bruce Yates, to come forward to bless our proceedings.
Let us come together as one in prayer. Honoring the deep spirituality of Pacific communities, embracing the perennial wisdom of the world's diverse faith and scientific traditions, awakening to the awe and wonder of creation, living our relationship with land, sea, and sky. We are called to greet one another and value everything and everyone. On the voyage of life, as we gather the farers and navigators together, charting the waters and currents that connect us through the Pacific and Arctic Oceans and on to the Norwegian Sea, buffeted by challenges and opportunities as we create enduring partnerships across the globe. And may all your encounters and all that you do be guided through a singleness of spirit and global ethos of love, compassion, and justice, joy, dignity, and peace, serving, celebrating the Pacific and beyond with a greater consciousness of purpose. For this we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yates. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, now to deliver the official welcome address, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor for USP's Research, Innovation and International Office, Professor Derek Armstrong. Please, a round of applause.
Thank you. His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince HAAKON of Norway, Mr. Dag Higna Ulstein, the Norwegian Minister for International Development, Norway's Royal Court officials, officials from Norway's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and its embassy in Canberra, Minister of Education, Heritage and Arts, the Honourable Rosie Akbar, and senior members of the Fiji government, members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior management and staff and students of the university, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. Bulavanaka and a warm Pacific welcome to His Royal Highness and the delegation from Norway. On behalf of the University of the South Pacific, or USP as we are more fondly known, I am privileged and honoured to welcome His Royal Highness to our Laucala campus. USP is the premier tertiary education provider in the Pacific region. Our regional character is reflective of our 12 member countries. And students from across the Pacific make USP a dynamic centre of learning, teaching, research and innovation. Our students go on to be national leaders, captains of industry and influential cultural advocates who shape public policy and guide Pacific countries as they address the challenges that we face in the region, such as climate change. The university is privileged to be working with the Norwegian government and the University of Bergen to address the needs of the Pacific region, mainly in the critical areas of climate change, marine, oceans, and sustainable shipping. There is a USP-Norway collaboration between USP and the University of Bergen, which is working really well and is framed in the context of the partnership dialogues and targets of the UN Oceans Conference, exemplifying Europe-Pacific cooperation. The university is fully committed towards leveraging its engagement with the government of Norway, particularly in terms of providing technical support to enhance the work on marine, oceans, climate change, and sustainable shipping in the Pacific region. In 2015, we signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the University of Bergen in Norway. The primary objective of the MOU was to enable both institutions to promote international collaboration and foster mutual interests in the fields of higher education, research and services. To further strengthen these collaborations, in 2016, Professor Edvard Widding, the director of the Bergen Pacific Programme at the University of Bergen, was appointed as Adjunct Professor for the Oceania Centre for Arts, Culture and Pacific Studies here at USP. Professor Widding first worked with Dr. Joeli Vitiaki of USP in the early 1990s, and they have continued to collaborate, and the collaboration has flourished across the university. The pinnacle of the engagement between USP and the University of Bergen in 2015 was the Moana, The Rising of the Sea production by artists at USP's Pacifica Voices and Oceania Dance Theatre, where they skillfully led by Mr. Englesi Eti and Mr. Peter Espirito, went on a month-long tour in Europe with funding of 500,000 Fiji dollars from the University of Bergen and the City of Bergen Festival. Since 2015, there has been a climate symposium hosted by the University of Bergen and the Climate Centre in Bergen, where Pacific Island researchers have made presentations, and a similar symposium at USP. At the UN Oceans Conference in June 2017, the University of Bergen and USP submitted a joint voluntary commitment for the Norway Pacific Chair in Oceans and Climate Change. Launching this joint effort as a voluntary commitment at the UN Oceans Conference was of particular significance, as it brings together a unique convergence of oceans and climate change, which fits extremely well with the work that the University of Bergen and USP are involved in, and our mutual expertise in these fields. The university extends its warmest welcome and wishes His Royal Highness the very best for the remainder of your visit to the campus. I hope you will take with you fond memories of your visit to USP and to Fiji. Thank you, and Vanaka Vakalevu. Now, distinguished guests, it is my humble duty to introduce His Royal Highness. As heir to the Norwegian throne, His Royal Highness Crown Prince HAAKON has a broad range of national and international engagements. Youth leadership, the environment, and global development are issues particularly close to his heart. His Royal Highness graduated from the Norwegian Naval Academy in 1995. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of California, Berkeley, and a Master in Development Studies from the London School of Economics. Every year, the Crown Prince leads Norwegian delegations abroad to strengthen bilateral relations within trade, science, and the humanitarian fields. He has been a goodwill ambassador for UNDP since 2013, working on the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. He has a particular focus on SDG number 1 regarding fighting extreme poverty, and SDG 14 regarding life in the oceans. And with those words, ladies and gentlemen, please warmly welcome His Royal Highness Crown Prince HAAKON.
Thank you. Is there a clicker? That was a little preview. Ministers, dear hosts, Excellencies, students of the University of the South Pacific, research staff, ladies and gentlemen. Bula Vinaka. I'm really grateful to be here at this esteemed University of the Southern Pacific, and especially to meet you, the university's students and research staff. Nothing is more fundamental for our common development than education, and nobody has a bigger stake in the future than young people. The importance of the USP for the region is indisputable. Your university is a dynamic center of learning, teaching, research, and innovation. Students from the USP go on to be national leaders and play a key role in shaping the future of the countries of the South Pacific. I am therefore very pleased not only to be able to speak to you, but also to listen, observe, and to learn. Here in the South Pacific, I am a student, just like many of you. By sharing our stories and our experience from opposite sides of the globe, I'm sure that we can learn a lot also about what unites us. We started our comprehensive visit of the South Pacific in Tonga last Friday, and after Fiji, we will be visiting Samoa. The program is really interesting, and we are overwhelmed by the warm hospitality that we have been met with everywhere we have gone. Norway is visiting the South Pacific to strengthen our cooperation on mutual challenges, especially on ensuring healthy oceans and fighting climate change. The South Pacific and Norway have much in common as large ocean states, and that is why we need to work together to reach common goals, which is also the main topic that I'm going to address here today. The oceans, our common challenges, and maybe also point to some examples of solutions. But first, let me take you to Norway, where we are from. So the sound works, right? Even if I walk around a little bit? Yeah. All right, so we are here, right, in the South Pacific. And Norway is all the way, pretty much on the other side of the world. Up there in Northern Europe, you see the circle there is actually wrong. That's showing you Russia. I don't know why that happened. so we, at the top of the circle is sort of Northern Norway. And Norway is the one that goes down as a sort of green belt at the top there, next to Sweden and Denmark in Scandinavia. So we're quite far apart geographically. I'll show you some snapshots of Norway and my growing up there. This is me when I was 4 years old, outside of our home in Oslo, right outside of Oslo, cross-country skiing. How many of you have been in the snow that are here? A few people. A few Norwegians, of course, that have been in the snow. That's good. Yeah, but we like being outside, even though it's cold. And this is 3 weeks ago in northern Norway, where we were doing ski trekking. A beautiful area. There's this organization that works with building huts to make it easier for people to use the great outdoors and get outside. So we were opening a new hut and making it easier for people to use nature and to be in nature. I also love the sea. For generations, my family has had a close connection to the oceans. My grandfather was a big sailor. He won the Olympics sailing. And my father, also a very keen sailor, went to the Olympics 3 times, world champion of the 1-ton racing with sailboats. Myself, I've never competed in the Olympics. Too much competition there. Couldn't follow up. But I do love the ocean, and I love playing around. So with the family, it's actually windsurfing became sort of my sport during the summer when I was little. And surfing, I was dreaming about, and I sort of got to try that when I went to California, when I went to the other side of the Pacific, I guess. Surfing started here in Polynesia. So there's a long tradition here. Are there any surfers here? Anyone that surf? One over there, not that many. but it's a long tradition. Thousands of years ago, they were surfing here. And it's possible to surf also in Norway. It's a little bit colder, so you need to wear a wetsuit, but it's fun. And I love being with my family in the water, being in the element, and having fun together. And I think by being close to the nature and in the element like this, it's fantastic to feel that we are actually part of nature. We as human beings are nature. There's no real divide between us and nature. We are nature. And I think it's important to remember that. As a surfer, I'm always looking for the perfect moment. I have to tell you, I'm pretty crap surfer, but I do love it. I get out there. And I'm always sort of dreaming, I guess, of this perfect moment, this perfect wave where you have all the energy that's been stored in the ocean from storms really far away, traveling for miles and miles. And when this energy moves close to the shore, that's when the energy can be harnessed and you can actually go with the wave. It's a fantastic feeling, I think. The natural world connects all of us human beings and also the oceans. We have the same air and the same ocean all over the world. And I think one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about nature is the feeling of this connection to nature. Now, as you all know, unfortunately, our oceans are not in good health. This is another picture of me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that good. I've never tubed in my life. But this is in Indonesia. There's a lot of pollution in the oceans. Just think about this. According to the United Nations Environment Programme, 8 million tons of plastic is released into the oceans every year. That means 15 tons of plastic every single minute. So in this session here, that we're together, there will be 900 tons of plastic litter that will end up in the ocean. 900 tons. Obviously, that's not sustainable for the oceans, and obviously that's not sustainable for us, human beings. Our common oceans are under threat. So we, all of us who live on this planet, have to stop using the oceans as dumping ground. International cooperation to address these threats is vital, and the countries of the South Pacific and Norway share a commitment to fighting marine pollution. Because for us, as for you, I guess, the ocean is key to our history, identity, and economy. In Norway, the ocean runs like a green thread through our history. For thousands of years, we have lived by the sea, and we have lived of the sea. The South Pacific and Norway share challenges, but we also share opportunities. As ocean states, there could be a great opportunity for us in the future. Although the oceans cover some 70% of the Earth, only a tiny portion of global food production comes from the ocean. Only 2 to 3% of global food production comes from the ocean. By 2050, there will be around 10 billion people on the planet, and demand for food will increase. Some of the solution, and maybe much of the solution to this challenge, will lie in the oceans. Fish and marine products could become a much greater source of wealth for many small islands and coastal states. Still, in order for this to happen, the world needs sustainable ocean management. We need to tackle the problems of overfishing and pollution. Now let's turn to climate change. Climate change is real and is man-made. You in the south and we in the north are already experiencing the effects. Sea levels are rising and cyclones are occurring in the Pacific Islands more frequently than before. Coral reefs are dying, and Norway is seeing a rapid receding ice cap in the Arctic. our winters are becoming shorter than before, and our glaciers are getting smaller. This is how we are connected. The ice in the north is melting, which leads to the ocean coming up, the ocean rising all over the world. And of course, in this region, where you have done the least, I guess, to create the problem, you're bearing the brunt of the consequences. I wanted to show you some snapshots also from this trip and some of the solutions. This is from Tonga. So one of the things we can do is regrow mangrove trees. The mangroves, they make a barrier that protects the sea line, the beaches, and create a barrier that helps so that the villages are more protected. Many of the mangroves have been cut down, so to replant them is important, and this is from a project doing exactly that in Tonga. And this is 2 days ago outside at the Vanau Levy Reef, the Great Sea Reef here in Fiji. So this beautiful underwater world is home to this great biodiversity, fantastic underwater existence of all these sea animals, fishes and other sea animals, but it's under threat, as I said. Now, having listened to me so far, you might think that I am a pessimist. There are challenges, big challenges. But despite that, I think that even though we are facing big challenges, I am aspiring to be a hopeful realist. And I'll give you 3 reasons for that. International cooperation, technology, and leadership. Let me run you through the 3. So these are some of the reasons to be hopeful and some of the solutions. International cooperation. We need to work together to achieve a better future for us all. At this university, there's an example of exactly that. It's no coincidence that the collaboration between the University of the South Pacific and the University of Bergen in Norway focuses on oceans and climate change. We know that many Norwegian students have spent up to a year here on campus as exchange students, and researchers from both universities in the fields of marine studies, climate science, and Pacific studies continue to visit both SUVA and Bergen to collaborate on projects. And we see that this collaboration is continuing to grow. For example, through the establishment of a new co-founded Norway Pacific professorial chair in oceans and climate change. You know about this, right? Right here at USP, this is happening. To give another example, in September last year, the high-level panel for sustainable ocean economy, initiated and led by our Prime Minister, the Norwegian Prime Minister Solberg, met for the first time. Over the next year, the panel will study evidence-based proposals for how we can deal with ocean problems. 2 of the panel's 14 members are from this region, and we greatly value the contribution made by Prime Minister Bainimarama of Fiji and the President Remengesau of Palau. The panel will present a roadmap to a sustainable ocean economy to the UN Ocean Conference in 2020. Norway will also work to strengthen the ocean agenda when it hosts the Our Oceans Conference in October this year. We hope to see many Pacific leaders at the conference, and Palau will be hosting the next Our Ocean Conference in 2020. No one needs to explain the importance of climate change to islanders. Small island states are among the countries that contribute the least, as I said, to global carbon emissions. But the effects are quite present. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Bainimarama, the Pacific has spoken out clearly on the global stage. raising the critical issues of climate change and the oceans. Fiji's leadership of COP23 and the UN Ocean Conference was instrumental in enabling the Pacific to influence processes and agreements vital to ocean management and fighting the impacts of climate change. The Pacific Island states and Norway have been engaged in long-standing cooperation to fight climate change. And together, we have been core members of the High Ambition Coalition in climate negotiations. We have constantly called for more ambitious global climate action, also in the follow-up to the Paris Agreement. As the latest report of the International Panel on Climate Change shows, this partnership is now more important than ever. Now, I have been talking about global cooperation. Let me now move to the second reason why I'm hopeful: technology. Obviously, the world needs to shift from carbon-based energy to clean energy. We need to find ways of producing our energy in a sustainable way. One of the main obstacles to this shift has been the price on renewable energy. But luckily, this is changing right now. So let me show you some examples based on the knowledge of Ramesh Nam, the American technologist and professor at the Singularity University. This is a picture of a coal power plant in China. It costs around 5 US cents to produce 1 kilowatt hour of energy from a newly built power plant running on coal today. This is what has been considered the cheapest source of energy until now. But this is changing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the sun, or at least a picture of it. The total energy hitting the Earth's surface from the sun in 1 hour is equivalent to what is needed for energy use on the entire globe for 1 year. That means that by covering just 0.4% of the Earth's surface in solar panels, we could meet our total energy needs by 2030. Until recently, solar power was too expensive. But thanks to technological innovation, it is becoming increasingly viable. Since the 1970s and until today, we have declined the price on solar by 350 times. So in the 70s, it was $77, and the equivalent today is now 22 US cents in 2019. This is a solar power plant in India. Now remember the price of coal, which was 5 US cents per kilowatt hour. And this is the price of 1 kilowatt hour in India, 4 US cents dollars. This has already led to planned coal plants being cancelled. You might think that this is in a low-cost country, which is true, and there's a lot of sun there. So what if we move to Europe? This is a solar power plant in Germany, and the cost is 4 euro cents per kilowatt hour, which is around 4.5 US cents. So a little bit more expensive, but not much, and still cheaper than coal. Now, the prices vary a lot on these different projects. I just wanted to make sure that, to let you know that the prices do vary a lot. But these are some examples that the prices are really coming down and becoming competitive to the more traditional sources of carbon energy. Now, what about batteries? Storage has been a problem, right? How do we store energy? And it's expensive to store energy. Now, this is a graph from Bloomberg. The lithium-ion battery pack prices have dropped 85% since 2010. So in the last 8 years, 9 years, it's dropped from 1,160 to 176 for the equivalent. So it's dropping a lot. And it's dropping faster than what has been predicted. Okay, so I've been giving you a few examples of international cooperation and of technology. So now let's move to the third reason to be hopeful, and that's leadership. This is Bojan Slat. He is from Holland, the Netherlands. And when he was 15 or 16, he was reading about plastic in the oceans. And he was reading about the garbage patch, the great garbage patch in the Pacific. And he wanted to do something about it. So he started the ocean cleanup to collect plastic out of the ocean. So he was doing rocket science at university, but then this project of his took over. So he quit his studies, which you shouldn't. And then he built his company, the Ocean Cleanup, and he's now employing a lot of engineers. I was talking to him, and he said he was the youngest guy in the company, had only hired older people. And it's really quite fascinating how this has been working out. They have their first prototype ready, and it's been deployed into the ocean. And I will let the Ocean Cleanup video explain it to you.
1.8 trillion pieces of plastic float at the surface of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Here, the Ocean Cleanup is deploying the world's first technological solution to this growing problem. The principle behind it is simple. Create a coastline where there are none. Concentrate the plastic and take it out.
And this is what it looked like when they towed out their first prototype, full scale, from under the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco. Now they are having some issues. They still need to work on it to make sure that it works as they want it to. But they are hoping to be able to clean more than 50% of the garbage patch the next 5 years. This is Greta Thunberg. Have any of you heard of Greta Thunberg? Yeah, is she a well-known name here? More or less. So she's Swedish and 15 years old. She was reading about climate change and decided that she wanted to go on strike for the climate. That's what it says, a school strike for the climate. And she started doing that outside of the parliament in Stockholm, in Sweden. And that movement led to now, a few weeks ago, there being 1.6 million strikers around the world on 7 continents, 125 countries, in 2,000 places. This is a picture from outside the Norwegian parliament in Oslo. And these are all the school kids that have taken the day off school, sometimes with permission and some of them without permission, to go and stand up for our common challenges and to stand up for Mother Earth. So let's look to Bojan and to Greta and follow their lead and take action. So there you have them: international cooperation, technology, and leadership. That is what makes me hopeful. Ladies and gentlemen, on the world stage, we are quite small countries. However, our key interests, such as fighting climate change and securing healthy oceans, call for global action. Small states like ours depend on an international system based on rules and rights, and not power and might. International laws and conventions, including the law of the sea, have served us well for many decades. And we need strong international organizations if our voices are to be heard. Norway attaches great importance to the UN and is one of its most important contributors. During the last 16 years, I have had the privilege of working as a Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Development Program, especially focusing on the Sustainable Development Goals. You've all heard of the Sustainable Development Goals? Yes? Most of you? All right. They are these 17 concrete goals that we are to meet or reach by 2030. The SDGs unites us all in a joint effort to address our common challenges and to shape our common future. And this is perhaps not easy, not at least the case for goal number 14, life below water. Today, some people are questioning the relevance of the international system of cooperation. And I think this is a cause of great concern. We need to stand together in defending the multilateral system and promoting the SDGs. Dear friends, during this visit, I will meet many of today's leaders in the region. And this here has been my opportunity to speak to the young leaders of today and of tomorrow. I hope you here at the USP will acquire the knowledge you need to shape the policies of the future. Knowledge that will enable you to tackle climate change and ensure sustainable ocean management. The research and learning that take place here at the USP are also important for us in Norway. You can be the change makers, the ones that are pushing action. The American psychologist and philosopher William James once wrote, "We are like islands in the sea, separate on the surface, but connected in the deep." The natural world connects us all. We may be far apart, but the oceans unite us. We share common challenges, and we need to unite to solve them. As human beings, we know that our footprints are all over the globe. We now need our fingerprints to be all over the solutions. Thank you for your attention. Vinakavaku level. We can have questions if you'd like to. Yes?
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, can we please give His Royal Highness another round of applause?
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be your only chance to say that you asked a question to the Crown Prince. So we have time for just 2 questions. We do have our technicians standing by for anyone who'd like to ask a question, any of the students. This might help with your upcoming exams. It's evident, ladies and gentlemen, although we are miles apart, you know, our interests, our passions, our love for the ocean and the environment is the same. We have a question from the gentleman.
Testing.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness, for the very wonderful presentation. And also thank you for visiting our side of the world, side of all our world, as we are one. It's very inspiring to listen to your presentation. And I would like to say that it's quite very positive. So thank you very much for bringing the very positive message. My question is sort of a little bit of a discussion one, because we're looking at a positive way of moving things forward. And you rightly mentioned a lot of leadership that have been happening at the international level. But there's also a lot of leadership happening at the local level, at the community level. There are a lot of leadership. And one of the enabling or the enablers that we really see here in the Pacific is the capacity, building the capacity of our young people, our chiefs, and our local people. So my question to you, Your Honorable Sir, the Honorable Crown Prince, is how much scholarship Norway is going to bring to the Pacific? Because there is a very good exchange. There's a very good exchange, as it was rightfully mentioned earlier, between the researchers from Norway and the Pacific there. But I would like to say how many more going to happen, exchange, and how many more funding for scholarships. Because it's very expensive to go to university for us in the Pacific. And I think through those scholarships, it can really make a huge difference. And also the projects that are coming in, because it builds the capacity through the formal education, through the TVET system, and all the way down to the community. So the way forward is to provide more scholarships and more research funds, so we can have a Pacific-led research. Thank you very much, Honourable.
So I forgot to say that Norway is, of course, a full-fledged democracy, which means that my father is not the one, or me, are not the ones that distribute the scarce resources. That is our Prime Minister and the government that's doing that, which is the way it's supposed to be. So that's very good. So I'm going to give this question on to our Minister of Development, Mr. Ulstein. Maybe you would like to answer this.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for the question. And I just want to say it's so good to be here. And as you understand, we are so proud of the Crown Prince and this strong message. And I come from Bergen, the city that actually are joining a lot of the programs here. And I was the deputy mayor and the commissioner for finance and innovation, and we actually funded this project. So it's really good to be here. And we met with a lot of you in Bergen, all the way from 2015 and so on. And I visited the researchers in University of Bergen just before I came here, and they had the same question to us. So the easy answer is yes. Of course we should have more cooperation and exchange programs with students. So yes, let's do that.
We just have time for just one more question. Just one more, if we do have a question. Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you will join us later on at the Oceania Center, in any case you'd like to ask a question and you get an opportunity to meet His Excellency, that might be the opportune time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please, another round of applause.
Right.
Thank you sincerely.
Thank you, everyone.
We have our friends from the media moving out, but ladies and gentlemen, if we can ask you to remain seated for the conclusion of our formalities. I know we have a few people who would like to meet with His Royal Highness at the Oceania, so just a few people rushing out to take their place there, please. I'd like to now invite the Acting Vice-Chancellor and President for the University of the South Pacific, Professor Richard Call, to move the vote of thanks. Let's make him feel welcome, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause.
Thank you, MC. His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of Norway, Mr. Ulstein, the Norwegian Minister of International Development, Norway Royal Court officials from Norway's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and its embassy in Canberra, the Minister of Education, Heritage and Arts, the Honourable Rosie Akbar, senior management team, staff, students, university, media representatives, members of the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen. Your Highness, on behalf of the University, we're deeply honoured and humbled by your presence here today, and would like to thank you so much for taking time out of your very, very busy schedule to visit the University and its students, and for your wonderful and inspiring talk today, linking the two countries in a way that was really very impressive. I have to say, Your Highness, that under our university quality of teaching measures, your presentation would have come out very well indeed on that. We commend Norway's multilateral cooperation in the Pacific on both climate change and the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDG 14, and we note with interest your efforts in addressing these very crucial issues. As you mentioned, our Honourable Prime Minister has been very active in this area, and as he said last year, and I quote, "When it comes to climate change, we're all in the same boat, therefore our response must be collective," end quote. We share the sentiments, and we believe these we share for SDG 14 as well, because the oceans, as you pointed out, represent our very existence. Your visit today marks an opportunity for the University to further strengthen this well-founded relationship and joint cooperation and leveraging efforts around the areas of oceans and climate change. On behalf of the University, we would like to thank the Government of Norway and the Norwegian Consulate and SUVA, the staff of the Norwegian British High Commission in particular, and of course the working group that helped put today's event together. A special thanks also to the Government of Fiji, in particular the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for providing protocol and security support for this very high-profile visit. Your Highness, I'm sure you'll thoroughly enjoy the cultural performance that we're going to show for you soon, and our world-renowned Pacifica Voices National Dance Centre, and I'd like to thank the team for the production in advance of that. I'm sure you'll enjoy that very much too. It's been a great privilege to have you here, Your Highness, and your delegation, and I wish you a safe and enjoyable trip back to Norway. Thank you very much. Your Royal Highness, on behalf of the University of South Pacific and the Senate, the Council, the Vice-Chancellor and President, Senior Management Team, staff and students, we wish to express our gratitude for your visit and have the pleasure of presenting with you a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you very much. Thank you sincerely, Acting Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Kaur. Ladies and gentlemen, please another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the first part of our program, actually. Now it's a little stroll over to Oceania Centre, so I'm sure a lot of you are looking forward to that. We have a cultural performance there. Along the way, His Excellency will be meeting with our Norwegian students who are also present and waiting for you. So with those few words, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding as His Royal Highness and the official party lead the way to the Oceania Centre. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you do have time to join us at Oceania, we invite you to witness the performance. Binaka Bakalevo and have a blessed day. Naka.